You're listening to the Millennial's Choice Show, Canada's most trusted podcast on all things real estate, finance, and entrepreneurship. Here's your host, Matthew Ablacan.
What's going on, guys? Welcome to another episode of the Millennial's Choice Show. I'm Matthew Ablacan. What's going on, Danny?
What's going on, guys? I'm Danny Ablacan.
All right, I think you guys know us by now. I mean, I think this is our 100th and something episode, and you guys have helped us reach a really big milestone earlier this year. We want to get to 100,000 downloads on this podcast, guys. So help us share it with your family and friends. You know, we do talk a lot about real estate. That is our bread and butter, our core pillar, but we've got a very special episode for you guys today because sometimes we get questions about should you be investing in gold and silver? If you guys are watching this on YouTube, that's an ounce of gold. We've got about $11,000 worth of gold on the table here. Should you be buying a luxury watch? We've got some Rolex on today. Should you be buying crypto? Should you be buying real estate? Should you be investing in stocks, bonds, mutual funds? Guys, we are not financial advisors. However, personally, I have dabbled in all of those areas. Obviously, I'm a real estate guy, but we have dabbled in all of those areas. So we want to talk a little bit about why gold, why silver, why real estate, crypto, all these things, talk about them in high level, share with you our experience, and then ultimately, you make the decision, consult with the experts, and, figure out what's best for you.
There's so many different pros and cons, obviously, to these different types of assets, different investments that you could go into. Like Matthew just said, asterisk, we are not financial advisors. We can just share our experiences, and then you do what you want to do when it comes to investing. Now,
but this is a real estate and finance show. And here's the thing. I think if you're an entrepreneur, you have to be diversified in certain ways, in certain areas. And so that's why, I do own a little bit of gold. I do own a couple luxury watches. Here's what I do with them though. I store them away. They're stored safely. Most of the time you want to store these things at a bank vault because it's super, super secure. But you store them away. And for me, they're a store of value. And what that means is if I want to go and buy a Rolex that I know that particular model, I do my research, it's not going to go down in value. It's going to hold its value. Well, maybe I don't want to keep $20,000 in the bank. Maybe I want to go ahead and buy this watch, keep it in the safety deposit box. Don't wear it. I'm wearing one right now. If you could zoom in on that, because I like this watch. It was a gift to myself. But this watch, even after wearing it, won't lose its value. I can, at the worst case scenario, sell it for what I paid for it. Maybe I'll make a profit. To me, that's a good deal. I'm enjoying it. It's a store of value. It's safe with me. I don't have to worry about it versus leaving my money in the bank. It's actually losing its value every single month because of inflation. So each one of these things has a utility. It's not about, like some people will ask us, what do you think about stocks? And really what they want to know is, like, do I own any stocks or can they make money off of stocks? Guys, listen, Wall Street, Bay Street, these are billion-dollar industries. Stock market is huge. Some of these companies like Apple, they're trillion-dollar companies. These companies you could invest in and you could make a profit. The question is, which direction do you want to go? Why do you want to go in that direction? What's your skill? What's your area of expertise? As you guys know, we're real estate investors. So no, I do not own any stock. I own lots of real estate. But you need to understand that these are some vehicles that are available to you. And you need to understand those vehicles. What are you comfortable with? Where's your skill and knowledge and expertise going to be in? And then you kind of put all your eggs in that basket. Now, I diversify from different perspectives, but not from an investment standpoint. I don't own gold from an investment standpoint. I'll talk about that more later.
I just wanted to jump in real quick and add to that. I think people can make money in anything. Let me unpack that a little. If you're investing in stocks and you're doing your research and you're getting the right advice from the right people, I think you can make a lot of money buying stocks. Same thing for crypto. A lot of people made a lot of money in crypto.
Who made money?
It all depends. Lots of people made money.
Show me.
But they knew what they were doing. They did a lot of research on it. They became full-time in trading.
They were on the inside.
So they had some information. They did a lot of research on the white papers, things like that, and they invested. Obviously, different investments have different levels of risk. Same with within stocks and within crypto, things like that. But I see it as if you're going to invest in something, go all in on that investment in terms of do your research, go full force. Don't just kind of throw money in just to see what happens. If you are going to throw money in, just see what happens and not really care about it, that's more gambling. It's not really investing. As long as you know that and you're okay with that, and say go for it with whatever you're willing to lose. Treat that money as lost, if anything, if you're just going to throw it in there and just kind of see what happens. But anybody can make money in any of these different asset classes. You just have to be fully devoted to studying, doing the research, and doing it the right way. Whether you're dollar cost averaging with stocks, for crypto, you're investing in a bunch of different types of cryptos, different asset classes of crypto. And then same for obviously real estate. There's different types of real estate to invest in.
Watches gold.
Too, gold, different precious metals. There's all these different kinds of ways to make money. There's just different pros and cons for each one, which we're going to talk about today.
Yeah, and the thing is, in addition to the pros, like the pros and cons, we're going to keep everything very high level because there's a lot of information to unpack. And again, we're real estate guys. So if you want to learn about leveraging real estate, what your actual ROI is and things like that, go watch our earlier episodes and listen to our earlier podcast where we talk about leverage. We talk about your actual ROI in real estate investments because that's what we do. We talk about cash flow, debt pay down, rental income, refinance, things like that. That's what we do. That's where our area of expertise is.
Yeah, please don't reach out and say, oh, guys, like what stock should I buy? I honestly don't know.
We just simply won't respond.
I'll tell you straight up, like I don't know. Even crypto. Don't ask me which crypto to invest. I do not know. If you're thinking about getting into real estate though, and you want to buy property and you're thinking about a couple different locations, definitely I can weigh in and be like, here's what I think and here's why.
And if you want to learn about like Rolexes and stuff, you can talk to me about that. I'm pretty deep in that. I mean, I've bought 5 or 6 Rolexes in my short, lifetime as of right now. Like I've bought 5 of them. I've spent over $100,000 on Rolexes. I don't own all of them. There's been, transactions that took place, but I definitely use it as a store of value. I've spoken to you about this many, many times. Don't ask me about Omega or Breitling or ask me about Patek, but you could ask me about Rolex. And I might be willing to give you guys some guidance there. Now, let's just jump into the gold real quick because we have it on the table. So if you could zoom in on this, we have about $11,000, 4 ounces of gold from the Royal Canadian Mint, right now. And these are trading at about $2,700 an ounce Canadian. So you're looking at just under $11,000 for the 4. Super light. You could see how small it is. It's stackable. That's all it takes. So in terms of when you're, wanting to store it, it's very, very easy to store. Because people wonder about this. Sometimes they wonder how much do I have to store, and where do I keep it, and people could rob it and things like that, right? So to me, keeping it at the bank is your best bet. That's just me at the safety deposit box. But what gold does for me is that I want to say it's a hedge against inflation. But really what it is for me, it protects you against currency devaluation. So inflation, when a currency is devalued, if there's more money printing and things like that, inflation will naturally occur because the dollar's purchasing power goes down. So just like us, when rates go up, your ability to borrow from the bank goes down because interest rates go up. Now your dollar gets you less money because it's worth less. So your borrowing power goes down, your borrowing capacity goes down. So with gold, for me, gold and silver is a store of value, meaning if the currency collapses one day, or for whatever reason, factors outside of our control, the Canadian dollar becomes worth a lot less than what it is today, which, guys, we're in the environment of lots of debt, lots of money printing going on, and high interest rates. We're seeing that. That might be the environment for the next little while. My bet is that gold will hold its value. It always has. And, Robert Kiyosaki refers to this as God's money because it comes from the earth. It's a natural resource and God created that. So that's what he calls it. That's why I do this. I don't buy gold to invest in gold. I have a little bit of savings stored away as gold, so that in the event that somehow, some way our dollar collapses, something goes on, this holds its value in all over the world.
So I want to ask you a couple questions about that, because I've seen in the news a lot of these countries are buying like millions and billions of dollars of gold reserves. Do you think that there's a possibility of going back on the gold standard if, let's say, the dollar collapses with all this debt that we have and whatnot? Like, is that what you think can happen? Is that why you're?
I'm not a currency expert. I'm not a macroeconomic expert or anything like that. But there's a reason that China has they have the largest gold mine, I think, in the world. And there's a reason they've been buying up tons of gold.
They're stockpiling. But why though? I wonder.
And also, North America, Canada is the largest gold miner. So a lot of people may not know that, but we do have a lot of gold here. But the problem is we ship it out. Gold reserves is one thing, and how much gold you have in a country is another, in terms of how much you could actually mine. So why they're doing that, I think there's a change in world powers right now. I think there's a order, like Ray Dalio, the changing world order taking place. You're seeing it. You're seeing new alliances form. You're seeing, wars and rumors of war happen. You're seeing the decline in morality and society in North America. You're seeing a lot of division. You're seeing a lot of chaos. PBD calls it the year of chaos 2024. So I believe him. I subscribe to that. So I think a lot of countries, in an effort to boost their reputation on a global scale in the international community, are saying, you can bet on our economy. What's one of the biggest problems the world faces right now is financial struggles.
Doom,
financial doom and gloom.
Yeah.
So imagine a country's telling you, listen, we've got all this debt, and we could print money. That's the monetary system we have in place. But we have the ability here to now buy all this gold, back our currency with this gold. We have a lot of gold reserves. We're showing you we're committed to that. A lot of countries are going to say we like that versus the country that has trillions of dollars in debt and their gold reserves have been trajecting downwards. So there's countries that have, for example, they've gone on the silver standard, where they've made silver, like they've backed their currency with silver, and sometimes it's backfired. So again, I'm not an expert on how that's going to play out. I think a lot of it is reputational, saying, hey, that country is way in debt. We've got our currency. Our market's doing well. It's backed by gold. Invest with us. Support us. That's what I think, why I think they're doing that.
I have a question. Do you think that if, let's say, for example, I don't know, World War III, something really, really dramatic happens and people are left with, they're starving. Money doesn't exist anymore. People don't really care about these kind of things, They just care about getting food. Do you think in those times, potentially if it comes up, that the gold is going to be useless if you want to, let's say, trade, and we go back to a barter system of, hey, listen, I have water, you have medicine. Do you want to trade water for medicine? Do you think gold's going to be useless at that time, or do you think people will still believe in using it as a medium of exchange? Or do you think it might be better to put money into resources, things like food, medicine, and those kind of things that you can actually use for survival? What are your thoughts on that?
So to answer the question is, you said in a war scenario, I think you definitely should have all kinds of supplies and things like that. I definitely think that bartering occurs, but not just only in a war scenario. If you guys want to read a good book, we don't get a commission. The author doesn't even know about us. When Money Destroys Nations. It's an economic study of the economy in Zimbabwe when the government started printing a lot of money, bad economic policies. It just kept getting worse and worse. They jacked up the interest rates. It did nothing to tame inflation because it was too late. Okay, there was hyperinflation. They banned the local people, the citizens, of buying and trading in other currencies so that they wouldn't sell their whatever the currency was in Zimbabwe. There's a lot of things that happen when that occurs. And they moved into a bartering system, the people, right? When you look at that study, people barter not only when it comes to, like, let's say, war, but people will barter when the money is no longer useful, because now no one's going to take dollars. And what happens is, by the time large corporations, large companies factor in high levels of inflation and the currency is getting devalued, by the time they do that, some companies were going out of business literally in 30 days from that time because they couldn't factor in the inflation fast enough. They would factor it into their prices, but then the suppliers factored it differently,
a different rate,
and a higher rate because it kept changing so rapidly that then they couldn't afford and they went out of business. So I think what you're asking me is this, and none of this is planned right now, but is this useful in those times? Is cash useful? I always carry some cash on me. I probably shouldn't say that in case someone runs up on me, but F around and find out. This stuff here is not useful at all. Grant Cardone says cash is trash. It really is. It really, really is. Think about it. Let's play out some scenarios. In a scenario where there's a power grid failure, the banking system collapses, or whatever happens, they shut off the grid. Cash might be useful for a short amount of time. But in the event that there becomes anarchy, and that goes the opposite route, and now governments get toppled, and it happens. You might not think, people watch it, that'll never happen here. Why? Who said? It happens all over the world. How many empires have risen and fallen? When governments get toppled over, the currency's gone. It needs to be replaced with a new currency by the new government that comes into power. When that happens, that's how it is. Just study history. For example, when our parents are from Iraq, when the Iraqi dinar, I think in the 80s, it was worth, look this up, 80s, maybe early 90s, one Iraqi dinar was worth $3 at the time. That's big.
It's huge.
The economy of Iraq was great. They had a natural resource, oil, they still do. And then things happened, war and stuff. But when the government of Iraq got toppled over, if somebody was holding cash reserves, that money was useless.
Yeah.
You could literally burn it. You could just burn it. It's useless, that currency. They change it, right? The government comes in, changes it, or they don't change it. It's still useless, and the economy never bounces
just super
back.
weak, yeah.
Yeah. So there could be a utility for this in those kinds of scenarios. So obviously cash reserves also helps if you have physical cash, little of it. Yeah. But now the gold, back to your question. Gold is universal. It's not limited to the currency. So if this currency collapses, gold is still worth the same amount it's worth all over the world. That's the difference. That's why you instead of hoarding this, if you have a lot of this, have a little bit on hand in case of emergencies. But I would rather move this that's in the bank into this. Something tangible, not digital, something that I can see, and something that provides value. This can be turned into jewelry. This can be stored and collected just like countries are doing. There's a reason the countries are doing this. You want to follow the money. So I think this is useless, utterly useless. I don't trust it in the bank because who told you to trust it with the bank? I mean, the banks. The banks. They told you that. Who told you to do that? They're a business like no other. So you give them money and they charge you fees for giving them the money. Think about that. That's a business, guys. Come on. It's simple stuff. It's not conspiracy.
I think everyone's pretty much woke to that. The banks are a business.
You'd be surprised.
Hopefully.
You'd be surprised.
But on that note, I personally think that it would make sense to have money, like actual money, maybe in smaller bills as well too, because in those situations, grid failure, whatever the case is, if you're buying something with that money, people might not be able to offer change, things like that. I wouldn't carry as much hundreds that people normally would. I would probably carry more singles or fives, things like that, to be able to give, if people are not giving change. But I think would be a great idea to also have gold, like you're saying, in the event that people don't go by that currency, you have some gold lying around. That way you can use it. I don't know if I would keep the gold at the bank though, just because imagine trying to access your gold at the bank if there is a grid failure, which people are predicting will happen, this year or next year. Trying to get your gold out at that time might not be a top priority. You might want to have it readily close available to you. But I do find it very interesting in terms of the different utilities. Both money, cash money has, and same with gold. Very close similarities, but still different at the same time.
Yeah, well, the other thing you can do is to protect against a currency collapse or devaluation is have your money stored in other currencies.
That too.
So you might find countries that are very stable. I don't, do your own research. I'm not an expert on Forex. But find that, and maybe you'll have cash reserves from other countries. That's also a solution to that. But there's utility for all of these, right? These are not meant for investments, not for the everyday person. You want to go invest in Forex, you want to go invest in gold, you want to go invest in these, go ahead, but we are not experts in that. Talk to the experts in that field. We're real estate guys. I love real estate because of utility. I love real estate because it offers people a place to live. I love real estate because it offers a place of business. I love it because you can develop it. You can build something on it. You can create more value with it. You can buy a piece of property that needs a really big renovation, renovate it, and sell it for a profit. There's so many ways you can make money in real estate. You could rent it out for long term while that person is paying you in money. Or think about this. Let's say there is a power grid failure. Let's say somebody still wants to live in your property. Like not all people it's not all going to be anarchy. I like to believe, and I know that most people are good people. There's obviously bad people as well, but most people are good people. But in a bad situation, let's say, who says I have to accept cash or money for my rentals? What if I go to my tenant and I go, hey, I want every month, I want you to go and buy me a cow. Store it on the farm. That's my cow. What I want to do with it later, it's my cow. Yeah. Or I want you to send me crypto. I want you to send me Bitcoin every single month, equivalent to the value of the rent at that time. So every month it might change, right? Or I want you to pay me in gold. Go get the gold, pay me in gold, equivalent to that value. So my point is, there's things that'll happen in that situation. And a lot of people might think about this, say, yeah, good luck getting that tenant out in those situations where they're not going to pay you. Trust me, you will have other problems that you're thinking about. You won't be worried about your rent if what you're thinking about happens. So how about we don't think for the worst? You plan for the worst, but you hope for the best. How about we go about it that way?
Definitely.
I
was just going to add to that too. Like in that situation, that's very possible, but we're not talking about the extreme of there's complete anarchy and like people are just looting houses. Obviously at that point in time, people are not going to pay you rent. No one's going to be thinking about that.
You're going to want your gold.
Yeah.
So you could travel and leave with it, go to another country if you have to, whatever. Well, I mean, maybe you can't travel because of the power grid, but you want some sort of measure where when things do come back, because they will be back to normal eventually, you have this. And if they erase this, if it gets erased from your bank or whatever because of a computer glitch, or it gets stolen by hackers, you have this.
Exactly.
That's how I would go about it.
Yeah.
Or you have this. Or you have a watch. You have something that's a piece of luxury.
Yeah. I don't think we're talking about the serious extreme of no. There's going to be complete anarchy and chaos, because then at this point, no one really cares about any of these things, right? You're just trying to survive. But we're talking about something happens where it's just temporary. Maybe there's a grid shutdown, for, I don't know, a week or something like that, or a month potentially. And people go to these lengths of trading, right? And bartering. Definitely can use these things to do those, to barter and to, trade for whatever you need at that time. And then, like you said, and then obviously the economy comes back, or the government comes back and everything gets rebuilt within that time period. But yeah, nothing crazy. But it is interesting when you're looking at different asset classes to invest in, watches, gold, metals in general. You might want to carry gold instead of silver, because silver is obviously much, much heavier. So you might not be wanting to lug around a whole duffel bag of silver. It's going to break your back probably.
Yeah, listen, silver, they call it the people's money in the sense of, because it's a lot more affordable for everyday trade. So, for the price of one of these, you'll get a really large brick of silver. You'll pay a little more, but you'll get a really large brick, 100 ounces. You get 100 times this. And the thing is, you can't lug that around. You can lug 2 or 3 of them, and that's it. So, I mean, I'd rather have this, and then this you could break it up into different pieces and different kinds of things to change the value of it. But with that being said, the utility is different. So for example, if we go to crypto, what's really the utility? And before you guys jump on my case, you're going to talk about blockchain. I'm not talking about blockchain. I'm not talking about a ledger. I'm not talking about the technology of the future that I agree with. I'm talking about specifically Bitcoin. What's the utility of Bitcoin? Really, what is it? It's another way for you to store value, similarly to gold, where people can transact with that if they feel that there's a certain level of value in that particular cryptocurrency, being Bitcoin.
Yep.
Right?
And
We're not talking about XRP blockchain or the Ethereum blockchain network. We're not talking about that. We're talking about the actual coin.
Yeah.
So for those of you guys that are investing in it to make 10x or whatever, God bless you. I hope you make it. I really do. But a lot of people early on have made it already. And you saw that. These last few years, how many people lost their shirts because of investing in cryptocurrency? They thought they were going to ride this wave that was already being, people were already riding it. But now, could it reach new heights? Of course it can. Everything can.
There's people talking about
Everything
Bitcoin
can.
hitting $100,000, which again, it's not impossible.
Some people say $1 million.
People say $1 million. It's not impossible. At the same time, is it very, likely? I don't think so personally, just because of the utility of it. However, there is a finite amount of Bitcoin. That's what a lot of people cling to.
But here's the thing, Danny. I just have to, before I forget my point. The people worried about power grid failure and stuff, unless you have your crypto on a ledger, on a hardware wallet, like it's off the system, off the grid, you're prone to that attack as well.
That's true.
So at the end of the day, in a power grid failure, you're not trading crypto. Let's be real. You can't.
Well, no, of course not. Well, you have no access to, internet and those kind of things, right?
So my point is, like, if we're investing in something or we're wanting to hedge against something, protect against something, what is the utility? What's the utility of this? This is recognized by everyone. The older generation will not, most of the time, like to accept crypto. It's a newer generation thing.
It's true.
Older generation will prefer this. Jewelers will prefer this. People, in a general sense, know what gold is and will accept that over a crypto 9 times out of 10 right now. Obviously, that could change in the future as the adoption of cryptocurrencies becomes more widely accepted. Do your research. See, I don't own Bitcoin, but do your research. Know about this stuff. Don't be ignorant to it. A lot of real estate guys will shut down crypto or shut down something else, or a lot of crypto guys will shut down real estate. That's just ignorance. Don't do that. I've made a lot of mistakes like that in the past. I don't want to make those mistakes again.
Well, there's people that pretty much generate income just promoting either crypto or real estate, and they don't actually maybe trade in crypto or actually trade in real estate.
This is true.
So their business is just promoting and telling people what to do, whether it's on a YouTube channel or TikTok, whatever the case is. Those people might not actually be doing what they're saying they're doing. So you have to keep that in mind. And going back to what you're saying about like the crypto, there's a lot of people that fall into this whole hype, especially the younger generation, of get rich quick. And we saw a lot of people, influencers, being a part of these pump and dump schemes where these people get together, they create a coin, it's a meme coin, altcoin, whatever it is, and they go to these influencers and say, hey, listen, we'll pay you this much of this coin. This is what we're going to do. We want you to market it for us. They're using influencer marketing, okay? And that person is getting people to buy, many people, thousands of people to buy into that coin. What happens? The coin goes up in value because there's perceived demand, even though there's no utility for it. And what ends up happening, it's a pump and dump. You can't liquidate your money, right? You can't liquidate the coin. And as a result, once they dump it, there's a huge liquidity problem. And then you're stuck with the coin until it ends up eventually going back to zero, because there is nothing good about that coin. There's no utility for it. It doesn't do anything. The company, everything, all that stuff, the white papers were fake. It wasn't really real. They're not doing this in the next step and whatnot. They were just doing it to get a bunch of demand quickly in the door, sell at the high, and then as a result, people are kind of stuck, left holding the bag. So keep that stuff in mind too. Everyone has an agenda when it comes to when they're trying to really shove something down your throat.
Yeah.
Influencer marketing, people don't do stuff for free. There's a reason why that person is promoting that, crypto, whatever it is. SEC, everything, they're shutting that shit down quick.
Look at FTX. The guy used to come out. He's driving a rust bucket of a vehicle, and I'm not doing this for that. I'm not doing this for that. And I think at one point it was like billions of dollars he was worth or whatever. And now the guy's never coming out of prison because of the stuff that he did. So at the end of the day, you have a guy, like some people just really look on the onset, like you don't know us that well. Maybe you're listening to this. Maybe you have a general idea of who we are, what we do, but you need to get to know people. That's why it's so important to come out and meet people, talk to people. If you need to pay a lawyer for their time, do that. Someone for their time. You have to do that to get to know them. This guy on the onset looked so, oh yeah, he's so humble. He look at the car that he drives. Why would this guy want to steal money? He doesn't even want to buy a car with it. What's he stealing the money for? Look what this guy did. FTX. How many people it touched? How many athletes that it touched? How many celebrities that it touched? How many government officials that it touched? That was one of the biggest ones. And look what happened. So why go through that hassle? Like, why trust that? Like, be careful. It's not just the cryptocurrencies, it's the exchanges.
Yeah.
Your money is on there. Who told you to trust that exchange? Who told you to trust the bank?
It's a business.
It's be careful. Be very careful. You have to know what's going on. Especially when you go to stocks. Lots of millionaires, billionaires have become so through stock market trading and stocks. A lot of them have made money because they held stock in their own company and things like that. Lots of pump and dumps there. It's exactly what the stock, Jordan Belfort says this. He's like, they're going to start. He said this actually a couple of years ago, and I watched the video. He's like, you watch. He's like, the stuff I went to jail for, they're doing it in the crypto market. They're going to start making examples out of these guys. That's what they did with the FTX guy, Sam. That's what they did. He was right.
They threw the book
because
at him,
he saw it. He's a guy. He understands it. He knows the scam when he sees one because he used to do it. So he understood it. And at the time when I watched it, I'm like, he probably knows what he's talking about. I don't. So I'll just wait and see. Like, out of curiosity, Jordan, you were right. They threw the book at this guy, and he's a young man, and he'll never get out of prison. He'll never have kids and never have a family. That is bad. You don't want to invest with those people. You don't want to do that. But Jordan was right. He called it. It just came to my mind now as I was discussing this. And with the stock market, this stuff was already happening. The pump and dumps. This stuff, insider trading, all this stuff was already happening. And so when you're buying stocks, you're buying paper. And again, good luck accessing your portfolio in a power grid failure. And one day you might wake up and the CEO of a company is caught having an affair with a 12-year-old boy, and all of a sudden that stock just crashes. You
don't have a lot of control.
You have
That's
zero
the problem
control.
with stocks.
Zero control.
Like, you have very, very limited control. Now, people are going to probably message and be like, well, what about ETFs? For those of you listening, you don't know what an ETF is. Picture like a basket, and there's a bunch of different stocks, different companies in that basket. You're investing in that basket. So your risk is spread out. It's more mitigated. Obviously, that makes more sense, in my opinion, than investing all of your money in one single stock, because anything can happen in that one company and the stock can tank, right? You have to diversify, obviously. But, there is always risks when it comes to investing in these companies that you don't know what's going to happen, right? In a specific sector. Now, you can spread your money in different sectors and things like that and diversify even more. Again, it's just one of those things where you're buying paper, like Matthew said. You can't really do anything with that paper if, for example, there is a grid failure and you can access your account or whatever the case is. Or, I don't know, the actual platform gets wiped out and there's no history, or it gets hacked and there's no more history of who owns what. Good luck getting your stocks back. Good luck getting your money back. Not saying that's going to happen. Could happen. Is it likely? Probably not. But guys, big companies are getting hacked. Equifax lost hundreds of millions of people's information. CRA did. Like, these are the big companies, like these are the big, it's the government. It doesn't get bigger than that. They got hacked. So never say never, in my opinion, for those kind of things. I definitely go for more for real estate, because again, property's there. Yes, the ownership, it's on a certain, database, but at the same time, you have your copy of the ownership as well too.
Copy, you save it in multiple places.
Save it in different places.
Print it out if you want to.
Yeah.
But also, it's like, at the end of the day, it's not like someone can come and lay claim to it. You own it. It's yours. Everyone knows that. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But here's another thing regarding the stock. So I'll share like a personal example. There was this stock that I purchased in 2020. I went all in. I put a good chunk. I put 150 grand. I'll be very transparent with you guys. I put $150,000. Overnight, I made about 18 grand. Overnight. Should have sold it. I didn't, because I, thought it was going to go to this new level.
You got greedy, you sick,
greedy
person.
I got greedy. Now, here's the beautiful thing. Why I share that with you guys? So ultimately, I lost the 150 grand. I lost about 143,000. So here's the thing though, because I was diversified, and that was like the only time I bought a stock. Okay, because I was diversified. When we were buying our house, we sold an investment property, the only investment property I've ever sold, to free up a lot of capital. I could have bought it without it, the house, but I just didn't want to be like really, really in bad debt. So I decided to sell this investment property. Long story short, the gain was $600,000 from a property that we bought in 2013 and sold it in 2021. So the profit was $600,000. Now here's the thing. My loss was $143,000 on this stock. Problem was $43,000 of that was in a TFSA. So unfortunately, nothing you can do. You lost the $43,000, and that's just how a TFSA works. The other $100,000 was in a regular account, trading account. So because I lost it, I wrote off $100,000 of the capital gain, not of the profit, the actual tax amount owing, which the actual tax amount owing was about $150,000. So I actually only paid $50,000 because the other $100K was a complete write-off. So I got $100,000 back.
Wow, that's amazing.
Which was like, thankfully, like really, because I made some videos that one day we'll post, selfie videos of when I lost the stock. Not a good place to be in. And one day I want to show my kids those videos to just prepare them, and make them understand how stocks work and things like that. And I learned a lot from that loss.
How'd you feel when you
like,
saw?
Bro, like literally,
Because you told me about it after, but
I told you about
in the
after,
moment though, like, what happened to
in the moment,
like,
bro? The feeling is like this. Because a lot of people, bro, they don't know, man. A lot of smoking mirrors, bro. I play big in this game. I play big. I am very humble about it. I hustle in silence, but I try to make big moves. All things considered, with no family background, no money, no support that way, doing it on your own. So when you take a loss like that, it's a big loss. Like it's a big, big loss for anyone. But for someone who doesn't come from money, who earned it, whatever, bro, this is exactly what happened. You look at that screen and you literally say, no. Like, I can't believe that happened. Like literally it messes with you. But thank God, because I did that knowing that if I lose it, it'll set me back, it'll hurt me, but it's not the end of me, like nowhere close. But in that moment, literally, like in the movies where you see, no, like, oh my God, like that happened. That I was like so destroyed by it. That was the feeling. And then thankfully when I sold that property and I got $100K back, big relief. So now the loss was $43,000. A lot of money still.
A lot of money.
Still, but 143,000, 43,000, I'll take it. I'll take the difference. So very bad feeling, very shitty feeling. I understand why during the Great Depression, when people lost their fortunes and their wealth, they committed suicide. I get it. I did. I was nowhere near that point. I'm not a victim. I would never kill myself. I want to be very clear, but I'm just saying I understand why, because that is a very shitty feeling. How many of you guys go to the casino? Let's be real. How many of you guys?
I knew this was coming.
You have to, right? How many of you guys go to the casino? You say, I'm going to spend $500. When you lose that $500,
it's the worst
feeling
ever.
Hang on. When you drive home and you lost $500, you're like, I'm never gambling again. Bro, screw that. Bro, the dealer got lucky every single time. I didn't catch a break. $500. Imagine people lose millions. I know, I could understand why someone would do that. It's such a hopeless feeling, which is so weird that happens. It's very demonic, but because for you, it's just a business transaction. That's how I was looking at it. So yes, I have videos. Maybe one day I'll show them, but I was very vulnerable in those states because I was very really emotionally distraught. But praise God, 100K came back. I was so grateful for that. And I have to live with a $43,000 loss. And maybe it was a valuable lesson I learned early on.
I was going to say, what made you, can you share what made you put all that money in that one stock? Like what happened?
You want to know what happened, bro?
How did that work? Just so that people can, learn.
This was summer of 2020, okay? At this time, I already have a $20 million real estate portfolio. I'm all in real estate, So there was no need for me to do it. There was no need. Could you say a little bit of greed was there? Yes. Here's the thing though. I had someone speaking into my ear and I let them do that. I got distracted by it. You know, what happened in May of 2020? We bought this office. I was buying stuff in 2020. You know, I was like, this is the moment where now you make it. So I bought gold in 2020. I bought silver in 2020. I bought the stock in 2020. I bought real estate in 2020. That was the year I said, I'm going to diversify for the first time ever because something's going to shoot up after this pandemic is done. That's what I thought. And I made the mistake of thinking past times were going to be like future times. Don't make that mistake. And I let someone lesser than me, not in the level in terms of as a human, we're all equal, but lesser than me in knowledge, expertise, investments, all this stuff. I let someone lesser than me talk me into it. But here's the thing though, I own it. I'm 100% responsible because I'm a man. No one put a gun to my head to do that. I got greedy and I did it. I diversified in a lot of areas to protect myself, to make some money like anyone else. And unfortunately, I didn't stick to what I know best, which was the real estate. Now, don't get me wrong. In 2020, I'm very open with you guys. In 2020, I bought 7 properties. Don't get me wrong. All of this happened and I bought 7 properties. Don't get me wrong. I'll teach you guys how to do that, you guys. That's what I do best. But, you know, that other 143,000, maybe I could have bought another 3 properties. That's how I looked at it. Or I could have helped my parents or whatever the case may be. So unfortunately, I took a loss. At least I got the balls to do it though. And I learned. And at least thankfully, because of my investments, 100K came back. But yeah, that was a heartbreaking loss.
Dude, that's crazy. Even hearing it again is like, wow, I can't believe you went through that. And you know what? I think it was for the better because you learned a really big, valuable lesson that could have potentially saved you even more money down the road. Not, you know, you never know. What if someone said to you, you know, hey, you have $1 million. This is a good opportunity. Got a little tip. You want to invest $1 million in this. And you never know. If you didn't go through the experience here, you might be willing to go and do something like that. You never know. But I think you definitely picked up a lot from that experience. And thanks for sharing that.
There are a lot of scammers out there, you guys. A lot of scammers. I didn't know when to exit. I should have exited the next day. But the problem was I made that money so fast that I said, if this is happening, imagine tomorrow what's going to happen. 18,000 is going to turn to 50. Then I'll sell it. Unfortunately, it never came back. It came back one other time. And I said, okay, now's the time it's coming back. Made the 18,000 again. And then it never came back. So I made the mistake twice. I got greedy twice. And I wasn't investing. I was speculating. I was not investing. I was speculating. In that moment, someone caught me like in that moment of that mindset of, I want to do this, commercial property, more condos, more pre-con, more this and that, and gold and silver. Okay, now your savings are protected in case of an event of something happening. Because, you know, during the pandemic, you were worried. Banks were closed, like places were closed and stuff. Yeah. You didn't know, can you leave your house and stuff.
It's never happened before. So.
It's never happened before. So I was trying new things. But had I stuck to my guns and what I know best, things would have been different. But I'm super grateful that the capital loss, which you get to carry, by the way, I learned this was new. Capital losses you could carry for the rest of your life. So even if I never sold that property at that time, if I do sell something in the future, I could have wrote it off against the tax. So grateful that I learned that.
That's advice people pay a lot of money for to accountants, right?
Well, a lot of money for it, but you learn that. And I hope I could pass that down to you guys.
That's what I'm saying for anyone listening right now. Like, this is stuff, like, don't take it for granted. Like,
but I just want to say something though. Like, again, I'm not sitting here crying, making excuses. I made that decision by myself. I made that decision to pull that trigger and invest in that stock. I own that 100% accountability, responsibility. You learn from it. But here's the thing. Don't get distracted, you guys. Don't get distracted because you're right. I think I learned this for a reason because it doesn't just help me with stocks. I'm not biased towards stocks. You heard what I said at the beginning of this episode. But I am now more cautious when someone comes to me and says, I want to partner with you on something. Or it could be a real estate deal and they say, I want to come and partner with you on this real estate deal. I'm more cautious because of this. I'm more cautious because you don't know what that person is all about, what their morals are, what they feel about you, how they think about you, how they have an outlook on life, what their outlook is. They don't know. You don't know what they believe and who they are ultimately. So I think it's taught me, because now, as you know, a lot of big opportunities are coming our way, a lot of really big ones. And now I'm more mature, I'm more experienced to look at those opportunities, look at who's behind them, and say, is this something we would do?
Definitely.
Yeah.
To wrap it up, guys, partner up with the right people. Don't just listen to anybody. Take lessons from people that have been through it, that do actually participate in what they're saying for you to participate in. Don't buy real estate from someone who doesn't own real estate. That really doesn't make sense. And get into an asset class that has utility. I think that's a good, summary for today's episode. Get something with utility
and understand what the utility is of those asset classes. Just understand it. Stocks, you're investing in paper that belongs to a company. Cash, you're investing in case of an emergency. Gold, same idea. A hedge against, currency devaluation or inflation. Real estate, housing, business, place of gathering, things like that. Understand the utility is also super important, and understanding it, then knowing what the utility is, you need to understand it. Crypto, understand the difference between blockchain and cryptocurrencies. Simple. Understand these things. Understand what their use is. That's what we mean by utility.
Yeah, exactly. Understand what it is, and make sure to, like I said, reach out to the right people. And we have a really good opportunities coming up, guys. So if you are listening to this and thinking, hey, I have this much money set aside, what do I do with it? Just give us a call. We talk about people's goals. The way it works is you reach out to us. We want to learn more about you. Otherwise, we're not going to be able to advise, because everybody's situation is different. Reach out to us. We ask a lot of questions so that we get a better full understanding of what your situation is, what your goals are, what your plan is, and what you want to do. And we just help you execute, help you find the right property to invest in, depending on if you're trying to rent it out, if you're trying to do a flip, if you're trying to, just buy multifamily homes, whatever it is, reach out to us. We'd be very happy to help you guys. Not only finding the right property, but also with the financing as well too. Our core pillar is real estate, but we also like to help people when it comes to the financing as well. It makes it a very, very smooth transition for anyone that wants to get in, especially if you're a first-time home buyer and you don't know where to start. We love helping first-time home buyers. We love helping investors. We don't discriminate to any kind of person that's wanting to get in. And let us know.
Connect with us. You can reach out to us on our social media, on Instagram. We'll reply. And I hope you guys took a lot away from this episode. I wasn't planning on talking about the stock loss.
This was fun.
Not gonna lie.
Yeah.
But it's okay. That's it brings value to people. I hope you guys avoid that mistake. I don't want anyone to be in that position ever, because it's a really shitty feeling. But just know that it's not the end all be all. In case you do feel that way one day, it's not the end all be all. You'll recover, especially if you're young. You will recover, and you'll learn from it. I've learned so much from it. It's done so much for me.
Yeah. Extra love for anybody that stayed all the way to the end. Guys, If you stayed all the way to the end, make sure to watch our other episodes too and stay to the end for those, because none of this is scripted. We don't come down and say, we're going to, say this word for word. We have an idea, of course, of what we're going to be talking about. But like Matthew just said, the stock stuff, we never said we're going to bring that up. It just happened organically. And that's how all of our episodes are. They're very organic. And it's a conversation that we love to have with each other, and for you guys to listen in on it and learn from those experiences. So make sure to check out our other videos as well and our other pods. And if you're not sharing with people, what are you waiting for? Share with somebody that you think is going to benefit from it, and make sure to let us know that you enjoyed the video. We do look at the comments. Make sure to subscribe. Make sure to let us know that this was a good video, or if you thought it was a boring video or a boring episode, let us know why. We want to improve. We want to get better. We love the feedback. And make sure to stick around for the next one. And if you have any questions, reach out. We're here. Until next time, guys,
we're out.